There are questions and concerns about the future of Greenland after the White House once again suggested the U.S. could buy the Arctic island or invade it. Let's discuss with Bob Rae, Canada's former ambassador to the United Nations. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Good to be with you.
How worried are you about the possibility of a U.S. invasion of Greenland?
I don't think we know yet exactly what techniques the United States administration, the Trump administration, has in mind. They've been very cagey about that, but they've been very explicit about the plan, which is to essentially take over Greenland. The president has said it many times. Stephen Miller has said it. Vice President has been involved. A lot of people in the administration are talking about it. So I don't think we can say it's an exaggeration. I think it's clearly an important part of the American plan to control as much of the Western Hemisphere as they possibly can.
Okay, so you do see it as a plan as opposed to just a musing of the president?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this about Arctic sovereignty, as we hear Donald Trump talk about security needed in the Arctic? Is this about critical minerals or Trump's disregard for NATO or something else?
I think it's all of the above. I don't think, based on what we've seen and what they've done in Venezuela, the way in which they've structured whatever agreements have been made for Gaza, and what they've been discussing with Ukraine, what they've also discussed with Rwanda and the Congo with respect to that treaty. Everything they do has what I would call an economic, with a polite way to say would be an economic component. Another word would be to say it's a grift component, because it really has to do directly with the interests of the United States, but also with the interests of investors and people who are close to the president. So this is the new Trump formula. Something for me, something for you, something for others, but there's always something for me. That's the way it seems to work, which is what makes it, frankly, so absolutely appalling. When King Leopold's Ghost, a great book written many years ago, described how the Belgian king in the 19th century basically looted the Congo, completely looted it, as well as killing millions of people. But we're seeing a pattern, which is gunboat diplomacy, people going up the river, creating a crisis, and then stealing the resources. And that seems to be the common thread through the whole piece.
Do you see this then as a clear abuse of American power and authority?
Absolutely. I think the American people see it many American people see it that way. They should see it that way. There's nothing wholesome about this whole enterprise. It is not about, quote, security. If there was a security concern, it could be dealt with through NATO. NATO could deal with that. There's no need to punish the entire population of Greenland to create security. There's no need to take over a country. There's no need to run a country, to run an oil industry. Those things have nothing to do with security. They have everything to do with taking advantage of a situation and using power to exclude the people of a country and to take advantage of their vulnerability and to use that wealth for their own advantage. I mean, this is not a pretty picture by any stretch of the imagination.
You have said in the past that Trump only understands power. So how does Europe, Canada, or anyone else get him to respect world order?
I think there's two elements to this. The first is what the rest of the world can do together, and the way in which we can begin to work more effectively together to counter the arguments that the president is making, and to show the people of Greenland and show everyone what the alternatives are. The second has to do with Congress and with all the elements of American democracy. A government that is unhinged from international law is usually, I would say 99.9% of the time, unhinged from domestic law as well. And certainly there are voices in Congress who are expressing this point of view. And I think this is the nature of the debate that will happen inside the United States. And public opinion in the United States is not particularly thrilled with these ventures and these adventures and these advantages that President Trump and his associates are taking to their own personal benefit. And I think that's where this becomes a major issue for the American public.
Okay, what would the fallout of a U.S. incursion into Greenland look like? What would be the fallout as far as a reaction from Canada or other NATO allies?
Well, I think we're already seeing it. I mean, I don't think we know exactly how this is exactly going to unfold, except we do know that something is going to unfold, either a conscious decision not to proceed or a decision to say, here's the plan. And they're certainly not going to tell us about it or confide in their allies as to how it is they intend to do this. But whichever it is, it's going to be extremely problematic. It's going to be extremely damaging to the NATO alliance in every sense, and it will dramatically undermine the credibility of the United States from an international perspective. The reputation of the country is at stake. And as all of us know in our lives, our reputations are all we have. And this will create enormous reputational damage to the United States.
Has the world and world leaders or UN advocates been too diplomatic about this? And I ask because that is typically, historically, how conflicts get worked out at a high level. There is diplomacy. But do you feel like leaders in the world have been a little too diplomatic here and should have already taken some action?
Well, I don't think diplomacy should be synonymous with weakness. We need to be clear about what is wrong with this idea. It's an affront to sovereignty. It's an affront to territorial integrity. It's an affront to the Charter of the United Nations. It's with respect to the economic aspects of it, it is so obvious that it is an abuse of power. And I don't know why people are afraid to use these words. I don't know why all of us wouldn't be saying the same thing at the same time. I think the language that's being used that came out of Paris this last week has been better and stronger. But I think our position should be absolutely clear. And I think the sense of outrage that is shared by, according to all the polls, the majority of the American public, as well as the vast majority of world opinion, I think should be made very, very clear. Because I think the damage to the United States, and frankly, the damage to the security of the United States, the security of the United States depends, as all our security depends, on the confidence and the goodwill of the vast majority of people in the world. And they're losing that hand over fist with this kind of behavior.
Bob Ray, good of you to join us, sir. Thanks very much for sharing your time.